In the quiet village of Briarwood, there was a cobbler named Juno, a guy with mad skills when it came to making shoes. But no one seemed to care. He was an orphan, and in a village where family roots meant everything, that made him an outcast. He spent his days crafting beautiful, intricate shoes in his tiny workshop, but all the villagers ever did was ignore him or laugh behind his back. Loneliness was something Juno had learned to live with. On one particularly stormy afternoon, Juno was trudging through the forest, trying to get to the market with a bundle of fabric and thread. The rain came down in sheets, soaking through everything, including his precious supplies. As he pushed forward, battling the elements, a thought crossed his mind. What's the point? Without his dry materials, he wouldn't be able to sell anything. Exhausted and frustrated, he slumped down beneath an old oak tree to catch his breath, his heart heavy. But then, through the sound of pouring rain, Juno heard something, a faint cry, almost lost in the storm. He couldn't ignore it. Driven by instinct, he followed the sound and soon found a beautiful girl sitting on the ground, her golden dress glowing faintly in the dim light. She was crying, her hair plastered to her face, and she looked completely lost.
Hey, are you okay?
I am not. I got separated from my friends in the storm and my sandal broke in the brambles. Now I'm stuck.
I can fix it, I'm a cobbler. Only thing is, my thread's ruined. It's soaked through.
The girl seemed to brighten a little at that, as if a glimmer of hope was all she needed. She reached into her cloak and pulled out something that caught Juno off guard, a spool of shimmering, golden thread.
You carry thread with you?
Actually this. I always carry it with myself.
Juno understood that the thread is special for the girl, and respecting her belief, he didn't question her any further. Actually, this thread was given to her by a fairy. Years ago, when she was just a child, wandering too far into the woods, she had stumbled into a sacred grove. There she found a fairy trapped by hunters' nets, weak and desperate. Not understanding what to do, she cut her free with her hands. Soon the fairy was free, and for her selfless act, the fairy handed her this spool of enchanted golden thread. This thread is stronger than steel but light as a feather, unbreakable except by the will of the person who wields it. But this thread could be used only by someone with pure intentions and should be used wisely. Juno, unaware of any of these things, carefully took the golden thread, and as he threaded his needle and began stitching the sandal, the girl smiled. To his astonishment, every stitch seemed to hum, almost like music, and as he worked, the sandal came back to life, better than it had been before.
There you go, good as new.
I can't go back to my kingdom by myself. Can you please accompany me to my kingdom? And perhaps you could make a living there.
Feeling an unfamiliar sense of hope, Juno agreed. As they made their way through the forest, the girl told him about her friends, royal guards who had been separated from her during the storm. She hoped they had made it back safely, but she hadn't been able to search for them in the chaos. When they finally arrived in the girl's kingdom, it was like stepping into another world. Towers made of crystal stretched up into the sky, and the streets were paved with white stone. The castle shimmered in the distance, and everywhere they went, people bowed. Juno was shocked and wondered what was happening. He couldn't understand any of it. Confusion and surprise were evident from his face. The girl laughed, and then she told.
I am Princess Elita and this is our kingdom Valoria.
Princess? The girl, drenched and lost in the woods, was a princess? I was accompanying a princess all this while?
Don't be hesitant. Come along.
Then they entered the castle of Valoria. Inside the grand hall, though, things were a little different. As soon as the courtiers spotted Juno, whispers broke out.
Who's this? Looks like a cobbler. What's he doing here?
The familiar sting of judgment hit Juno hard. He was used to it, but here, in a palace, it felt worse. But Princess Elita wasn't having any of it.
This man saved me. He repaired my sandals with skill I've never seen. Without him, I wouldn't be standing here right now.
Her father, King Eldrick, approached Juno, his eyes kind and thankful.
You've done my daughter a great service. From this day forward, you shall be the royal cobbler of Valoria. Your skill deserves recognition.
Juno could hardly believe it. He, the orphan cobbler, was now part of the royal court. In the royal workshop, Juno's life transformed. The golden thread became his signature, and every pair of shoes he made hummed with life, just like that first sandal. His shoes were beautiful, but more than that, they were enchanted. They never wore out, never fit uncomfortably, and each pair seemed to reflect the wearer's inner strength. People from all over the land sought out his work. Valoria became famous as the shoemaker's land. But it wasn't just all. As he spent more time in the palace, Princess Elita often visited his workshop. She wasn't like the others. There was something different about her. She was down-to-earth, kind, and saw people for who they really were. Little by little, they grew closer. One day, as she watched him work, Elita finally said what had been on her mind.
Juno, you're different from anyone I've ever known. I've spent my life surrounded by people who expect things handed to them, but you've worked for everything. You are genuine and I really want to spend my life with you.
With me? A princess with me. I am just a shoemaker.
Yes, with you.
Elita's father, King Eldrick, on knowing this had no objections. In fact, he was delighted.
Juno has proven himself. Not by status, but by the goodness of his heart and the strength of his work. I bless you both with all my heart.
The royal court respected their king's wisdom, and in the end, Juno married Princess Elita in a celebration like no other. And together, they ruled Valoria with kindness, fairness, and humility. Juno's shoes became legendary, but it was his story, the orphan cobbler who rose to greatness, that truly inspired the people. As for the golden thread, it became more than a tool. It was a symbol, a reminder that magic lives not in objects, but in the hearts of those who never give up, even when the world looks down on them. And they lived happily ever after, not just as a prince and princess, but as partners, equals, and the best of friends who always respected each other.